Hi, welcome to my latest ramble video. Today's topic is what is the problem, or this is the problem with PRS guitars. I'm just going to go through all the brands that I know of one by one. So last time I did Gibson, that was my last video, and I got a bunch of comments on that. A few of them were talking about, hey, like collect your thoughts, make notes when you're going to do one of these videos. So I'm like, I could do that. So I've made notes and I'm ripping them up. There, that's how strong I am. I can rip up paper. That was actually a UPS import list. No, this is a ramble video. That's the whole point. I'm not collecting my thoughts. My thoughts are scrambled like an egg. See, I didn't even plan to say that. This is your brain on Landon. No more questions. Okay, let's talk about PRS guitars and my history. I only started playing them 2 years ago. Before that, that's right, 2 years ago, 2023. First one I ever tried that I bought was the PRS SE Custom in Bonnie Pink, Custom 24 to be specific. They have so many models. I'll say, that's the first thing I'll say. The model numbers are confusing. There's the Custom Core, there's the Custom, there's the SEs, which is like the Student Edition. Unless you're really familiar with the names can be very confusing because they don't really tell you exactly what's going on. I mean, a 24 tells you there's 24 frets. That's a given. But the SE, I thought that meant Special Edition. I honestly did not know that was the Indonesian, like the cheaper line. And I say cheaper, I don't mean they're like garbage. I just mean they're less expensive than the American stuff. So that's one of the biggest complaints that a lot of people have is they're pricey, right? The American models. There's the Core and the S2, which are made in the US. And they are expensive. And I consider them pieces of art, like works of art. What I've got right here, this is two SE guitars. These are made in Indonesia, and I'm pretty sure Cortec. I can double check that right now. I'm pretty sure it says right on the back. Cortec, yeah. So the Cord Factory, this is the DGT. This thing is amazing. This is a beautiful guitar. And just did this one. So that's, the SE DGT with the moons on it. This is the NF53. Also amazing. The quality on these guitars, it tops a lot of guitars that exist in the world today. I can say that because one day we'll be on a different planet and they'll be like, hey, remember those guitars from Earth? Yeah. Remember the American ones? No, I just mean the ones from Earth. I don't know what country they were made in. It doesn't matter. Anyways, so people either love PRS or hate. That's the kind of thing I've noticed. They like PRS for whatever reasons. Maybe there's artists and bands, and maybe they just like the look of them or the shape, or they like the, whatever reasons that people like guitars. That's the reasons. But then there's a lot of people that just call them dentist and lawyer guitars. There are expensive guitars from PRS. There's expensive guitars from Gibson. I'm not defending. I'm just explaining my thoughts. There are very expensive guitars from PRS. They're 10 top. I don't know all the names, right? I'm not a PRS expert. And I've seen some guitars that go between 10,000 to 20,000 Canadian. And they look amazing. I would probably never want to pick it up because those guitars, there's no relics, right? In any PRS guitars. There's no relic models, so you're trying to baby it and keep it pristine and clean and doesn't go in the washing machine. It's got to be spick and span. Unlike something like a custom shop Fender, which has like this stuff. When I knock into something with this, like when I'm walking down the street dragging it behind me, I don't care. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It looks the same after I'm done with it. See, I don't even have to be careful with it right now. I just threw it on the floor. I was still careful with it. Yeah, that's one thing. So they're works of art, and there's also maybe people just don't get along with the whole PRS vibe. Maybe the artists that are part of the PRS, company, maybe they don't like Paul Reed Smith himself. I remember seeing my very first time I saw him in an interview. I believe it was an interview on Philip McKnight's channel. And just remember, this is probably 5-6 years ago. I remember Philip asking questions. I call him Phil. I know Phil. He's Phil, not Dr. Phil. Him asking questions, and Paul, his responses were pretty, I don't know the best way to say it. Not snarky, kind of sometimes, a little bit abrasive. It didn't make you, it wasn't charismatic. There was no charisma that made you love him in that interview. So I'm like, oh, he's not very nice. And then I saw more videos over the years. Saw him in person. I'm like, that's his personality. That's who he is. He's just abrasive, and he says what he thinks, right? What's on his mind, doesn't hold back. And some people get along with that, and some people don't. So maybe that's a reason somebody doesn't like PRS. They just don't like PRS. What other companies, like Gibson and Fender, Leo Fender's not around. Gibson, I don't know the Gibson family names. I can't remember. They're not around. What other company has the actual original creator still working at the company and designing and building and in production, right? I mean, in that scale, PRS is a big company. In that type of company. So getting back to, I don't remember what I was saying. So that's what a ramble is. I like the guitars that I have here. I've also owned an S2 McCarty 594 and a bolt-on custom 20. I don't know if it was a 24. I forget. I ended up selling them because I wanted to get some other guitar. I don't know. There was no love or hate of the guitars. I really thought they were cool. And I really like these ones. These are cool. I would say these are probably some of the best value you can get out of a guitar. Just the build quality is amazing. And that actually reminds me, another reason I've heard that people don't like PRS is because they're so well built. And that sounds crazy, but if you go to Gibsons and Fenders and other brands, there is a tendency for variation in sometimes the build quality when it comes out. Somebody didn't do as good a job on one guitar as another. I watched a video with Noel Gallagher from Oasis talking about, I think it's ES335 Gibson that he had. And there was another one that came off the assembly line. The serial number was the next one. And he said the first one was amazing. The next one that just came off after that, I could be mixing up the numbers and the specs, but he said the next, anyways, one amazing guitar came out, the next one was garbage. I'm like, what? So PRS has this well-known consistency with the quality. So somebody, you're not hunting for a guitar that you like. Like if you find one that you like the neck, they're all going to be like that. So I guess people like finding that gem in the rough. Is that the term? They like working to find guitars. I don't know. Is that a thing? So yeah, you get a good Gibson Les Paul. You got to keep that one because the next one might be garbage. What kind of mentality is that? That's not a good way to think about it. So, but that's how it works. I've heard people say that. That's not the way I think about it. I'm like, if they're all consistently good, that's pretty cool because you're going to get a good quality guitar. So, that's all I can say about that. Anyways, leave some feedback. Let me know what you think about PRS guitars. Love them, hate them, don't care. Not something on your radar. You never want to see a PRS guitar. You love PRS guitars. What other things can you say? Anyways, that's going to do it for this ramble. As always, play guitar and have fun, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.